सैपं गुर प्रसाद जप आद सच जुगाद सच है पी सच नानक होसी पी सच। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। Greed is considered to be the king in this world. It's what drives everything else. Sache Pacha says, Lab paap dohe raja mehta kood hua sikdar. That king is greed, and then the advisors are sin, are these vices. In order for the king to do what it needs to do, the sin advises, hey, you should do this. So the king of greed goes out into the world in order to fulfill its greed, in order to reach its American dream, to become the most famous, to get ahead in life, to build myself or become what I wanted to become. It does whatever it feels it's necessary. So it even goes to break laws, to break righteous, divine laws, break dharm, put other people down in order to grow that self-interest, whether it be to do sin. That's what I want to discuss today. Where does greed stem from? It stems from two things. The first thing is your own self-interest, your home, your ego, that I need all of these things for myself, or this is the way I see myself, this is the way that I want to be. That's the goal of how you vision yourself to be, so you can be happy in that way. You strive towards that, your identity. And the second thing is what value you place in these things that you're chasing after. What value do you place in the world? What value do you place in money, in fame, in whatever these things that you're chasing after? So the value you place, these two things. When we look at both of them, they all grow the person to such an extent that the person loses their own ground. And there's studies of social psychology that prove this, that the more wealthy someone becomes, the richer someone becomes, the more self-interested they are, the more entitled that they feel, and the less compassion and empathy that they have towards people or things around them. There's studies that show that they become more rude, they become less caring. It's all about, I earned this. Now, somebody might think this is a general statement, but with hundreds of people putting through these tests and researchers going through all of these things, yes, they've clarified this down, and Gurbani has always been telling us this, that without compassion, without humility, you cannot move towards the path of spirituality. So how do you control these thoughts? If you are somebody that has these thoughts coming in your mind, that I want to do this, I want to achieve this, I want more and more and more, but why am I not happy with what I have? These thoughts that, I should get rid of this person from my company in order to make myself better, to grow myself. It'll be beneficial, whether it's not beneficial for the company or not. You want to make someone else lose. You want to pull other people down so that you can shine. These things all stem from the ego, so the self-interest, what value you place in other people, in the things around you. Now, to controlling these thoughts, the thoughts are going to come. The first thing to understand with all of these things that we discuss, whether it's anger, whether it's lust, whether it's your jealousy, whenever a thought comes, you cannot fight that thought. You cannot tackle that thought directly head on. Because as soon as the thought enters your mind and you try to grapple that thought, now you've just become intertwined. Think of that thought coming in as a cloud. You cannot fight the cloud, but as soon as you try to enter the cloud, you've just become part of it. Or think of it like goo. The goo has just come into your mind. The dirt has just come into your mind. As soon as you touch it, you're going to get infected by it. Think of it like a virus. So how do you do it? You can't do it head on. Instead, step back. The way to protect yourself from it is to step back and just let it go by. That's how to be aware of your thoughts. Don't think that you are the thought. Don't confuse yourself, your mind, to be that thought. Your awareness is something different. You're watching. And when this thought comes, just let it go. There is a way to redirect these thoughts that are coming into your mind, not by directly tackling it on, but by cutting out that vichar, that train of thought, with a different train of thought. So imagine this train is coming in front of you. This train comes of greed, that you want more money and you are willing to kill your own brothers for it. You're willing to, do the dirty things and cut out all of these other people to put yourself at the top. Because you will grow, you'll gain the benefit out of it, that greed of it. When that train comes, what you need to do is you need to step back, not enter that train, let it go by, don't entertain it, and enter a different train, which leads you somewhere else. So enter your mind, start thinking about thoughts of compassion. Start thinking about humility, thinking about the positive things. Look how humble the great saints of the past were. Look how all these people, they had so much wealth, but they gave everything away. Think of Bhai Kanhaiya, your people in history that had given everything away. They've lost everything materialistically, or the way the world is saying that this is how you want to succeed. You need to become famous. You need to have all of these riches. You feed yourself all these thoughts. That's the next thing I'm going to get into. But cut out these thoughts with the positivity, with the compassion, with the empathy. When these thoughts come inside of your mind that I'm nothing, I don't want this. I want to walk the path of the saints. I want to walk the path of humility. That's where I'll truly find happiness. Listen to that type of discourse. That's how you can cut out these thoughts with these other thoughts, but not entertaining those other thoughts. Let them go by. Instill that in your mind, that these thoughts, that train does not even have access into your mind anymore. This is how you meditate on the positivity and the wondrousness. That's why when we read Gurbani, when we think of Naam, we think of losing ourselves. We focus and we fall at the feet of the sanctuary of Akal Purkh. This is what it truly means to fall at the feet of Guru Sahib. And in Gurbani, Sache Pacha says, Lab lob lehr nivaranang, har naam ras manang. That this lab and lob, so the greed of your tongue and the worldly possessions, because both of them are directly interlinked with each other. The more somebody falls into their mind of, I want to try this new tasty thing, and this is not as sweet, this is something else, and the more that they cannot control their tongue, that's going to directly grow the habit of being greedy towards worldly possessions as well, towards self-interest. Because when you're eating food, in your mind, you're directly linked to the taste of how you are feeling. Your self-interest, I want this happiness. I want this, the taste of spiciness, of sweetness, of it's a little bit bitter, I'm not happy with it. And that's going to grow more and more of it. I'm not saying you can't enjoy good food. I'm just saying when you get so indulged into that, you can't control your tongue anymore. And it starts affecting your health, affecting your mind, affecting your wealth, your family, all of these things, affects your emotions. So that's why lab lob lehr nivarnang. How do these waves that come in your mind, how can they be stopped? How can they be destroyed? When your mind is completely fallen in love and directly drenched in that ras, that ecstasy of Naam, of God's name. And this is truly what Guru Sahib Sache Pacha is saying, that, oh Tuhi Niranjana, protect me. I've fallen at your sanctuary. You can only protect me from this when you can destroy my ego. We can destroy the self-interest of mine. I need to fall in your sanctuary so that when I fall in your sanctuary, I completely submit my mind. You destroy Muhammad, then there's no self-interest left. Stemming from what I spoke before, from self-interest and the value you place in the world. Now it's going on to the next thing. When we continually watch these, these TV shows called Cribs, or we go on YouTube and we watch these things and we feed our mind. Oh, look, $80 million mansion. Look how, look what it looks like. Look what it looks like on the inside. Have a virtual tour of it. Somebody else, some celebrities are showing off their amazing cars. You're going to these car shows, and you're watching all of these cars. You're comparing yourself to these millionaires, billionaires. You're watching these entrepreneurship, these Instagram posts of this is how you can succeed. When the entire world collectively, they have a certain vice in their mind, that becomes a culture. Let me repeat that. When collectively society is infected or indulged in a certain vice, that becomes a culture. That becomes a societal goal. That becomes what we call the American dream, Canadian dream, British dream, whatever you want to call it. Society is trying to move towards a goal. And that goal in the world right now is you need to become a billionaire. You need to become running a successful business. You cannot become an employee. You need to start your own empire. And now, look, you can do all of these things. You can use Maya. You can use the wealth to do benefit for the world. You can gather it. I'm not saying don't start your own business. I'm not saying don't gather wealth. But why are you gathering it? What purpose? What's driving you? These greedy thoughts will absolutely destroy you. They won't let you connect with God. Because God is where compassion is, where forgiveness is. Wherever there's forgiveness, compassion, empathy, that's where the virtues of God reside. And if you're filled with self-interest, if you're filled with self-interest and this greed and this entitlement, that I deserve this. What do you mean? I was meant to have this. You know, when children grow up and you see TV shows, maybe on Dr. Phil, and a child says that, oh, well, I wanted the Lamborghini. Why did I get the Mercedes, or why did I get the BMW? I wanted something this. So they get angry, and everybody looks on the internet and they say, what a spoiled child. But little do we know, we're infected by this thing in a lot of subtle ways. We are entitled to the cars we have, or to the job that we have. We feel entitled. So then when we look at the poor person, we look at the homeless person, we might not feel empathy towards them when we're just living in our own world of growing. What do you mean? Like $10,000 is nothing. We need to grow to $1 million business. We need to go and we need to, go into the 9 digits. We need to go into the billions. This entitlement and what value you place in the world depends on what you see and what you feed your brain. You're constantly watching these videos. You're constantly comparing yourself to other people. Well, my cousin had this. And then Punjabi parents, or many parents in the world, they're doing it to their children. It's become a cultural thing, which is absolutely detrimental. Your cousin's son has $1 billion business. Look at you, you're a failure. So you're classified as a loser or a winner based on your accumulation of wealth. So you're forced to place value in it. If you're not beautiful, you have agreed to gain beauty. So you look at these models online, you look at these photoshopped images, and then you compare them to yourself and you say, well, that's a greed that I have, that's what I want to become, which I'm not. So there's self-interest in there, because if I become that happy, then everyone will love me. Everyone will treat me with respect. I'll have value. You're placing value in becoming beautiful in people's opinions. It's absolutely wrong. That's the way that you're not going to be able to walk down the path towards reaching and diving deep. If you're inflicted and you're living your life based on what people think of you on Instagram, the likes and the comments, and I'm not saying, all of those people that do have, these Instagram accounts where they might be posing or might be doing other things. I'm not putting anyone down. I'm just saying dive internally within yourself. See what's driving you. Why are you doing it? What are you placing value in? Do you see value in these things that you need to gain? Instead, you need to channel that greed, channel that desire to accumulate. You need to accumulate God's wealth. You need to accumulate positive virtues, accumulate humility, recite God's name, accumulate the more Gurbani I can memorize, the more seva, the more service I can offer to the world. These are ways you can grow compassion. Now, if you feel that your mind is bombarded with all of these things of growing your wealth, becoming the greatest, because that's the goal in life, you need to feed yourself with a different train of thought. The train of thought that, look, all of these people have money, wealth, they're the kings of the world, as per se, but they're not happy. So then if they're not happy, then why are we doing this? Because money doesn't equal happiness. So then start feeding yourself with these types of thoughts. View those things. Look into those humble, poor people, or what somebody might call the 99%, or that includes the middle class as well. But look at the poor people who have absolutely nothing in comparison to what society claims to be of value. But they have happiness. They're happy. They're living in luxury within their own virtues. And spiritually, they are in much higher states. And Gurbani says that person that has achieved this, they truly are the king of the world. Because if you fall down this other path, then you are constantly affected by this. It's like these waves that entangle you, and they even attach the greatest of people. Even though somebody might be the most knowledgeable in spirituality, the most knowledgeable in religious discourse, somebody that might be the greatest charity runner who serves humanity, but this greed can attach themselves to even the greatest people in this world. That's how poisonous it is. That's how subtle it is. The only way to actually get rid of it is when you fall at the sanctuary, when you place somebody above you. When you're not saying, I want to become the best. When you have somebody above you, meaning a guru. When you have God, you place Waheguru on top of your head. And then you look at yourself as a complete ant, as a complete insect, and a slave of the world. Then there's no way you can become greedy, because you don't want to accumulate. You're not saying, oh, well, I only have 2 pairs of clothes. I need to have 50. I need to go shopping. That's greed. The latest fashion? No, that's greed. That's why I praise all of these things that I see on the internet about minimalism. Somebody can wear one type of shirt. Well, not the same shirt, but one type of shirt for an entire week, for their entire life. I think that's a beautiful thing. That's sadhgi. That's what we call celibacy. That's humility. That's simplicity. And through this simplicity and this compassion, this love, can you actually, dive deeper within yourself, and you lose yourself. So let me recap this. Controlling your thoughts of greed, they stem from self-interest and the value placed in the world. Don't try to tackle those thoughts directly. Step back from these thoughts and put another sort of vichar, another type form of contemplation in your mind. Watch things. Fill your mind with not looking at the the greatest mansions. No, actually drive through the ghetto. Look at the humble people. Look at how happy the poor people are. Look at how the great saints that had absolutely nothing worldly, but they attained all the luxuries of divine happiness, of spirituality. And how can you truly find happiness in that? Even though you could be living in a big house. You're not attaching yourself to that. You're not chasing after it. These thoughts of greed will destroy your friends, your relationships. They will destroy, your actual path that you should be walking towards spirituality or a career that you could potentially become successful in. They destroy your success. They destroy your social life. They destroy your relationships. They destroy the way that you should positively be raising your children. They destroy your mentality. They put you into these states of depression because you're living in comparison at all times. You feel that you need control. So eventually with accumulating wealth, you feel that your wealth is your control. It is your entitlement. If I have wealth, then I can do this. And as soon as you lose your wealth, guess what? You might be going to states of depression, depending on what you're comparing yourself to. So that's why you don't want to be going into those trains of thought. You want to be going into trains of thoughts of empathy. Grow your compassion. Watch those types of things. Listen to those types of things. Read more Gurbani. Dive into spiritual texts of Gurbani. Read Gurbani. Listen to the meanings. Listen to the lies and implement those teachings of those saints. Try to become like that. Don't idolize these Instagrammers are saying that you want to become rich. No, you don't want to become rich. You want to become rich in the wealth of Naam, the wealth of God's name. And only the saints have that. If somebody says to you, hey, you want to become a billionaire? Well, not the way you want to become a billionaire, because you're completely lost yourself. I want to become a billionaire like Guru Nanak Dev Ji. I want to become the master, the king of the world in that way. Manjita Jagjit. And now when we look deeper into this, losing your ego entirely, that is the solution when we fall at the feet of Guru Sahib. When we fall at the feet of an enlightened being, we fall into the sanctuary, completely humble ourselves, constantly tell ourselves, I'm nothing, I have no value. Everything that I'm doing is through your praise, through your blessings. Continue walking to the path, fill yourself, and you will be able to redirect these thoughts, and greed won't ever enter your mind. You won't ever be sitting there and is feeling sad that, look, that other cousin of mine had 15 new suits, has 15 new outfits, and I only have 2, so that's why it's a sad thing. No, that's not a reason to be happy or sad. Your whole mentality needs to change. It's absolutely wrong. You're creating a formula for destruction in the future. Go completely nothing. Say the world that you place this value in, notice this world as an illusion. It's not there. It has absolutely no value. This entire world will completely be destroyed one day. And everything that you think that you've accumulated in this life, it's not going to go with you in the end. When you leave this body of yours, the only thing that's going to go with you are your positive virtues, God's name that you accumulated, the prayers that you've done, the positivity that you've spread. These things will help you in the world. Accumulating for yourself, you're selfish. Become selfless. That's how you control these thoughts of greediness. Get rid of greediness in your life. As soon as somebody begins speaking about these things, your automatic response should be, but that's not going to give you any value in life. True happiness comes from this. Fill yourself with this type of vichar so you can explain this to the world, because at the moment, this entire world is built on consumerism. World economies are trying to race against each other to become the best. They're all feeding egos. The richest people are trying to become richer. They're trying to grow their wealth. And the way that they encourage you to become happy is, say, to follow the same footsteps, to become rich as well. That's the formula to success. Success equals wealth, or does success equal happiness? True divine happiness. Think of these things. Read Gurbani, listen to Kirtan and Katha every day. Don't fill yourself with this garbage. The more garbage you throw in your mind, those thoughts will become who you are. They become your actions, they become your being, they become your personality. Fill yourself with humility, naam, bani, gurbani, positivity, compassion, empathy, and you'll become that form as well. So while talking, while speaking, I've made many, many mistakes. If I've said anything wrong, please have it in your heart to forgive me. ਇੰਨੀਆਂ ਬੇਨਤੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰਵਾਨ ਕਰਨੀਆਂ ਜੀ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।